Cool. I think we are live. Awesome. So thank you everyone for tuning in to this live Course Report Q&A. My name is Liz. I work on Course Report, which is a resource for finding the coding bootcamp that's right for you. So like I say at all of our webinars and our live Q&As, if you haven't looked at Course Report yet, use our directory. You can find the schools that fit all of your needs. You can check out our blog for interviews with students and instructors and founders at bootcamps across the world. We've also got application tips and other webinars like this. And we just put out our latest research report about the market size of the entire bootcamp industry if you want to nerd out over that. So DevPoint Labs is one of the first coding bootcamps in Salt Lake City. They teach a full-time immersive web development bootcamp, and they also teach some part-time bootcamps in front-end development and UX UI. And today we are joined by 3 students who are in the current web development full-stack bootcamp, Rosie, Hector, and Megan. Thank you for joining us. So I'm really excited to chat with them about we're going to talk about why they chose DevPoint Labs, their experience in the class, and with some of the unique things that DevPoint Labs offers, like housing and scholarships. And they also actually won the first DevPoint Labs hackathon 4 weeks into the program, and so they're going to show us what they actually created. They get to show off, which is really exciting. They're about 5 weeks in, so we're going to focus on their experience so far, and then hopefully we'll get to catch up with them in a couple months and see where they are, but they're about halfway through the program right now. So let's get started. First, Rosie, Hector, and Megan, why don't you introduce yourselves and maybe start by just telling us what you were up to before you started at DevPoint Labs, like your education background and your last career path and fun stuff like that.
Girls?
I guess I'll start. So yeah, I'm Rosemary Thomas is my full name, but people call me Rosie. Before DevPoint, I was just working kind of a nothing job. I had just graduated from college. I studied math and chemistry. And studying math in college is what initially got me interested in computer science because I shared a lot of classes with computer science majors. I got a little bit jealous of how cool all the things they were doing were.
Did you ever take a straight up computer science class in your undergrad?
I didn't. I didn't really become interested in it until it was too late to take extra classes or to switch my major again. So I decided to just finish and move on to the next thing, and I had been doing some Code Academy classes, and I actually applied to a boot camp in San Francisco. I think it's actually really well known. It's called HackBright. It's just for women. So I went through their application process, which was a great learning experience. Had an interview with them, which was, I actually learned some new code that I didn't know before. So even though I didn't get in, I think it was a great experience and it really helped me kind of get motivated to keep going. And that's when I found out about boot camps in Utah. So
cool. Yeah, that just going through the process can be actually a great learning experience because you're like pair programming and usually you have to build something, and that's probably a good exercise to go through.
Yeah, it was great.
Hector, how about you? What were you up to before DevPoint Labs?
I was a college dropout. I didn't work out, and I just wanted to have fun and live the dream. So I just was like traveling and hanging out with my wife, and I was doing marketing for restaurants back in the restaurant industry. And then one day I was like, I want to do something where I can take with me wherever I go, a skill. And I looked into. It started with how to build a website, and then real briefly Google searching how to build a web app, and then through that I tried it. I did some of the online tutorials, and it was just I had so many questions, and I wanted to be in a structured setting that I could ask questions to a live person. Researched some in Salt Lake, found DevPoint, and went through the interview process, and here I am.
Cool. Well, it's good to have you. Megan, how about you?
I'm great. So my name's Megan Grizzly. I'm born and raised in Salt Lake.
Cool.
I ended up getting a political science degree from Gonzaga University. So no experience with like computers really. It really didn't happen until after I had graduated. So I think I was about 6 months, graduated, working just retail, and I just recently moved back to Salt Lake, and I decided, one of my friends had done a continuing education program at the University of Utah for web design. So I was like, that looks pretty cool. Did that, got a certificate. It was really a great learning experience, kind of like broke me into, the basics of HTML and CSS. So I had that background. And then right as that was ending, WordPress started to kind of become a really big tool for people putting up websites. So I got really into that. Ended up getting an internship with the Salt Lake City Council, converted their website. I didn't do it personally, but I was on the team that converted their website into using WordPress. Cool. Once I was finished up with that, I ended up working for a tech company that specializes in web hosting. So I was just tech support. And then just from there, I kind of, was introduced to Terminal and all these commands. You can kind of like log into servers, and it was really kind of a really rushed decision why I decided to do DevPoint. Just kind of like 3 weeks before the cohort even started. I was like interviewed, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do, but really I just wanted to, get a better job, and that was the main reasoning behind me deciding to do this whole thing. So
cool. It sounds like you got to sort of like learn on throughout several jobs, like for the job.
Right. I feel like every job I've had, it's a stepping stone to something bigger. So. Yeah.
Cool. So were you all three in Salt Lake City before you started DevPoint, or did any of you move to Salt Lake City to do the program?
I moved to Salt Lake City just from Logan, Utah, which is an hour and a half north. That's where I went to college. So.
Cool.
I was from Salt Lake City. I grew up here. It's my home.
Awesome.
Me as well. Yeah.
Awesome. I think like one of the coolest things about the growth of these boot camps is that they are in every city, and so, or almost, and so you don't necessarily have to move like to New York or San Francisco to do a boot camp, and that's amazing. So it sounds like from talking with people at DevPoint Labs that they're pretty geared towards beginners. Megan, maybe you had like a tiny bit more sort of professional experience with development, but would you consider yourselves all sort of beginners when you started? And was that cool when you started?
I think so. Yeah, like even though I've been introduced to it and done some like Treehouse stuff, Team Treehouse, I still think like there was prep work that we were expected to do even before, basically just building, a basic web page to kind of introduce ourselves to the class. So the learning is really fast paced. So if you're not into that, it may not be the best experience. But I would say most of us were pretty very beginning level, and some people didn't know anything. So
yeah, and it's really great the attitude they have. Like they know we're beginners, and even though it goes so quickly, they are only here to help us, and like whatever we need, whatever questions we have, like they know how hard it is for beginners, and so they're really like putting themselves out there to help us.
Cool.
From discovering the difference from a web page and a web application, from there, that was like 2 months ago, and then I just researched it and dove right in, and it was like, whoa, there's so much more that goes into clicking this button.
Did you what was your like goal in doing a boot camp, or did you decide that before you sort of started applying? Like I'll talk to people who want to like get a certain job when they graduate, or like to get a promotion, or like even start their own company or build their own product. Like, did you have a specific goal when you started?
I mean, similar to Megan, I wanted a better job. I wanted to work at a place that really meant something to me, and was something that I enjoyed doing, and not just like, oh, I have to go to work today, and then I come home and like just complain about how much I hate work. And you always hear about how people who program love their job and they just love to do it, and that's what I want. And also I wanted to kind of break into an industry that is progressive. Kind of obvious at this point that programming isn't going to go away, and there's always something new to learn, and so I was really interested in being in an industry like that.
Awesome. Did anyone want to like build their own company at some point, or like are you learning to code in order to do something like that?
I've always kind of thought about it. I think my next step will be, actually getting into the workplace and, doing that for a couple of years. But that's always been in the back of my mind, being my own boss, just like that thought is just so attractive to me. So it's definitely there. I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna like feel like I'm ready for that now. But another thing that I like about doing the boot camp, it's like you can, do all these online things, self-paced stuff, but actually being here and doing the boot camp, we're making our portfolio right now. So we're going to have so much stuff to show for, which is just, gives you so much confidence and is great, when you're going out on interviews and you actually have stuff to show for. So
absolutely,
that was like the biggest thing, and I couldn't have done that, by myself, or it would have taken me a lot longer to, get in that groove, than I am now. So.
Totally. So Rosie said that she applied to HackBright before applying to DevPoint. Did anybody else like do research on other boot camps or apply to other boot camps, or was it just DevPoint Labs?
I researched some other ones in Salt Lake.
Okay.
But I was just
Why did you
impressed
decide
by
on DevPoint?
just like coming here. I came here for like an info sesh and then just touring the building. It's an awesome building in an old church that's been repurposed for startups and just technology.
It's called, what is it called?
Hub.
Church and State?
Exactly, yeah.
It sounds like
it's
a
just
cool space.
Yeah, it's an awesome space. There's the main chapel is, we call it the sanctuary, and it's just a free open space for any member of Church and State to work at, or if you're a student, that's also included. But I was just impressed by the whole atmosphere and just the way everybody was so, not only eager to teach and like to share, but also the students were all just like, you could tell it was like, but it was also like, at the same time, if that makes sense at all.
Both and okay, yeah, I got it. High pace, but people were like really into it.
Yeah, definitely.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I actually had found, like, I think a couple months before I actually had decided to do DevPoint, I was looking around, just hated my job, what can I do instead? And I did find one, and I don't know if they still exist, but they're based in Salt Lake. It's isomer.io.
Oh yeah, they don't actually exist anymore, but
yeah. So I looked at that and I was like, that's a cool idea, but they're, I don't think it was actually running anymore, so I kind of put it on the back burner. But then I kind of started looking at it again, and the two main ones are DevMountain, which I did look at a little bit. I didn't choose that because I wanted it was more of like location, like they're mainly based down in Provo, so I didn't want to have to commute down there. And then they do offer a class in Salt Lake, but it's part-time. So I was like, I want to kind of do this the whole summer. So they also they don't teach Ruby. They do, I think, just Node.js. So. I don't know, and it seemed like a great good for you. I don't know if that's even an excuse, but I was like, I don't know if I would fit in there. So, once I had actually gotten the interview for DevPoint, I was just like, this is great. So, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, yeah, I mean, I think like the best thing that you can do once you have your list narrowed down is to go visit the campus and just like see if it is a good fit. And it sounds like that is what sort of sealed the deal for y'all, which is what I suggest everybody does. It's smart. Did any of you, and maybe this didn't apply to y'all since you were all in Salt Lake City, but did any of you take advantage of the DevPoint house?
No.
We didn't.
No? Okay, that's totally fine. Have you seen it? Like, that's a really unique thing about...
I'm not too sure.
No,
I don't know.
Okay. It might be.
I think it's coming.
Yeah,
I think
it's
still
not
coming.
okay,
They're
okay.
still figuring it out. But they
that's
want
totally
to eventually have that.
Okay, that's fair.
Because I do have a couple students that are from different states, and they had looked into it, but ended up doing something. But yeah, it's coming.
Okay, cool. No, that's no problem. I mean, it's a really unique offering to offer housing. And so, yeah, cool. Okay, we'll look forward to information about that in the future. Did any of you apply for or get a scholarship while you were going through the application process? And can you tell us about that?
So I did apply to the Women's Scholarship, and like I said, I had done this like literally 3 weeks before the cohort was beginning.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talked to Ty for the interview, I'd asked him, he's like, okay, that I was a little bit late on that.
Okay.
But the scholarship,
and that's the full scholarship, right?
That was the full scholarship, the Women's Scholarship.
Okay.
Too. And then and it was just a couple. It was really not that big. It was really easy. Just a couple more questions on why you want to be coding and just being a woman and that kind of thing. So, but then I think when I met with him, he's like, we do give a discount or a little mini scholarship to any woman they'll take $500 off or something like that, and then we just have to go in and go and teach at a school or something like that. So.
Yeah, and that's for just any of the women in the class automatically.
I think everyone gets that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. And then you are sort of promising to like be active in the community, and which I think is really smart. Mm-hmm. Either way. Have y'all, all three of you, started going to like meetups and like sort of networking events like that in Salt Lake City?
A little bit.
Yeah. I'm going to go to one tonight, so we'll see how that goes. Definitely the hackathon was like a great experience. But yeah, that's a really huge tip. If you have time, just go take 30 minutes, an hour, during the evening, and just go to these meetups because there's so many, and it's just a great way to meet people.
I have been to them, and they're actually super fun. I mean, there's a lot less coding than you would think, but just like being around like-minded individuals is always a good thing. So I enjoyed it. It's fun to see all the other developers, and also the way you're taught and the way you learn is so different from every other person that it gives you perspectives of how a code should, how code should be written or what steps you would take or not take. So it's great to see others' perspective outside of our classroom.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there are obviously a ton of different like types of meetups, but the ones that are like, Rails Bridge or like Girl Develop It, where you're building something. Every one of those that I've been to, boot camp graduates have been the like TAs and teachers at those, and it's awesome. Like it's always good to have people who have been through boot camps doing the teaching. Cool. Okay, so you both got that like the scholarship that all women get for at DevPoint Labs. I'll ask one more question about being a woman in tech, and then I want to hear about your experience with the hackathon and that project. But can you just tell us sort of on a, you're sort of just getting into the tech world, so on a like really broad level, have you felt like there's been like a barrier to entry at all? What has been your sort of like experience as a woman in a boot camp? And has DevPoint Labs been like supportive of that, I guess? And do you find a lot of like diversity in your cohort right now? Everyone. That's a lot of questions. I'm sorry.
Almost.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because I think Ty told me during my interview that the last cohort was like they had 2 girls, I think, but now it's half girls, which is awesome.
How many people are in your class?
16.
That's awesome.
So yeah, 8 girls, 8 guys. And I think the industry is really becoming aware of this trend to get more women to code and all that. It's like, it's this, I mean, it's a great idea and it's definitely needed and everyone is becoming aware of it and like can't really ignore it because it's kind of being demanded. And so I think that because of that, the industry is very supportive of us, and DevPoint Labs is very supportive of us in every way, and they don't treat us differently than the guys or anything like that. So it's been great.
Yeah, and I was just going to add, like, it was a little bit intimidating, I guess, on the first day or whatever. I mean, I have 2 younger brothers, so been around guys my whole life. Just maybe, not if I wasn't so into video games, like stuff like that, would I, have something to talk about was kind of the things going through my head. But really, that's just all put to the side. And it's really, just about getting in there and, that first meeting can be kind of uncomfortable for some people, like when you're meeting your other classmates and stuff like that. But just getting past that, I think it's fine. And they've been more than helpful. The interesting thing to me, though, and we have like a couple girl TAs, but we haven't really had a woman or a female come in has spoken to us, about her developer job or something like that. So that's something, I would want to definitely come back once I have a job and be like, hey, girls and guys, this is what it's like. So that's a little bit lacking, but I definitely think that's going to be changing very quickly. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that is really good. I mean, obviously boot camps are in their nascency as an industry, so that's like a wonderful piece of advice, like having, people who are like in the positions now talking about their jobs. It's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I want to talk a little about what you're actually learning right now. So, Megan, you had said before that like DevMountain teaches mostly JavaScript, and you were more interested in Ruby on Rails. Is that generally, like Rosie and Hector, were you thinking the same thing? Like, was it important to you that DevPoint teaches Ruby on Rails as the sort of teaching language, or was that not super important?
So I wasn't being super picky in terms of like a web language, so like Ruby versus Python, like Hackbright, I think teaches Python.
Mm-hmm.
But I did also look at DevMountain, and for a similar reason than Megan, I knew that they were only teaching like HTML and JavaScript, and I wanted to learn something more than that. And so it was important that DPL had Ruby or something more that would have more functionality.
I went, just from my research online, it seems going from zero knowledge of coding to, trying to be an actual developer and like get that title, it seemed that Rails was the best way to go. Mm-hmm. And even before I knew about DevPoint, I knew that I wanted to learn Rails and Ruby. And then once I did find DevPoint and that they taught Ruby and Rails, it was just a no-brainer from there.
Y'all are in week 5 right now. What have you learned so far? Have you gotten into Rails? Where are you in the curriculum?
Yeah, so we actually started right off the bat with Ruby, which was a surprise to me, but it was great. So we did a week of Ruby, or a couple weeks of Ruby, and then right after that were the 2 weeks of Rails. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we already have been all through Ruby on Rails, and I think we're relatively experienced with it at this point because we have moved on. We've gone over JavaScript and jQuery and Ajax, and I can't remember what else. We're going over APIs now. I mean, so
cool.
We're a few weeks past being done with Rails, and so I think we all feel pretty comfortable with it.
The instructors say a unique saying about the course. So they say that they throw you in the coding pool and let you kind of struggle with it, but they're not going to let anybody drown is the big thing. So it's like you have to want to learn, you have to want it, or else it's going to be super, super hard. But they're right there to, every now and then throw you a noodle or a floaty and keep you going.
That's good to know, sort of like that approach to teaching that they take, because some boot camps will be super hands-on and won't let you get stuck, and other ones will let you get stuck forever. And it's good to know that they'll let you struggle but not completely fail.
Definitely.
Awesome. Okay, y'all, tell us about your hackathon project. You won the hackathon.
Did.
Pretty cool.
Sixer. That's their app name.
It's called Sixer?
It is, yeah. So
okay.
we wanted to just build something complete for our hackathon. We had 8 hours, which just flies by when you're coding. It's amazing. But so we wanted a good reference, and we found some sites online that we liked. And I think actually I was the only one that had heard of.
Yeah, you brought it up.
Fiverr. So it's a Fiverr clone, but we called it Sixer.
What's Fiverr?
So Fiverr, where you do a service for $5 from anywhere in the world.
And so what does Sixer do? What's the functionality?
So it's basically the same thing. You can create an account and post services that you want to provide, and then other users can view those services and buy the service from you for all the services are $6.
Cool. So wait, how far through DevPoint were you when you did the hackathon? 4 weeks?
4 weeks. So we had just finished Rails.
Okay, cool. And it was 8 hours. You had 8 hours to do it. Why did you decide to work together as a group? Did you get to choose your groups?
No, we just got placed.
Yeah, everyone in the class was put into groups, but I think we got really lucky, or I got really lucky, I think, with these guys, because, I mean, like, we all get along really well, and I think we're all pretty competent, and I was really happy with the people I ended up with, and obviously it turned out well. But yeah, it was just luck, really.
Cool. Okay, do you want to walk us through it and show us what it looks like?
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. While you're sharing your screen, what technologies did you use to build Sixer?
We used, so obviously Rails, and then we used a few gems. We used the device gem for login and authentication.
Okay.
We used the paperclip gem for photos.
Uh-huh.
And just a lot of Bootstrap. The girls killed it on their styling.
I love that. Were those technologies, I mean, I'm sure you didn't learn those specific gems during class. Like, how did you figure out how to do stuff when you didn't know how to do something?
Yeah,
like you wanted to build login, how did you figure out what gem to use?
Some of them, like Bootstrap, we had been taught in class, but the other ones, like Devise, they were just mentioned in class, and so we didn't actually know how to use them. But Hector really took the reins on that and just kind of went out to the internet and learned how to do it and just did it. Because if you know basically what a gem is and how to look at the documentation, which we do now, then you can figure out how to use almost any gem.
Right. And we had just been taught, actually, like the week just right before, so the hackathon was on a Saturday, we had been taught authentication, like how to hard code it in, basically. And then they're like, they kind of taught us the hard way first and then kind of set us free. And I know that the previous cohorts didn't actually get that. They were just taught how to use the device gem right off the bat. So it was really cool that we had that foundation, and then it just, kind of came easier. So
we understood what was happening.
Right.
It was done for us using the gem, but we understood it and we could customize it and manipulate it since we knew how it worked.
I mean, this looks like it has a lot of functionality for a project that you did in 8 hours. You can sign me up for it. I'm Liz at Course Report.
Yeah.
For like something that you made in 8 hours after 4 weeks of a boot camp, like it has authentication and login and.
Yeah. So the cool thing is that you're able to see all of the services available on Sixer.com. For instance, this gentleman will draw you a cute digital photo, explains a little detail about the description here. The user that posted it, and then of course the $6, and then we used another.
Payment functional right now? Is that?
So we didn't set up the the Stripe. It's the Stripe gem. So
I think it is still in test mode, so I don't even know that we.
So if we set up a bank account and an email address to the account, I'm sure we'll receive payment in some way, but we didn't go that far. I mean.
That's totally fair.
Definitely. So the cool part is you can see all of these services, and then you can also create a service. This great drop-down screen here. So you can start with your picture here. Again, this is the paperclip gem, and for instance, this gentleman perhaps will build you a website, and then. Liz, the Liz user.
Gonna be your,
And then we create the service. So the cool part is it goes straight to the it's created now, so
Mm-hmm.
you notice at the bottom it just scrolls in, and then you're able to edit and delete your service. So only the service that you create you can edit and delete. You'll see how all the rest of the services don't have those buttons there, and we can edit it or we can delete them as well.
That's so cool. That's awesome. Did you, I mean, you had 8 hours. I'm sure you were like kind of blowing through things, you know, when there were issues, you were just like figuring it out. But can you tell us about like an issue or a problem that you ran into, like either, you know, working together, like that's difficult to collaborate on something, or, you know, maybe like technology issue that you ran into and how you sort of like overcame it?
We had, I think we had relatively few issues, actually, which was, I think, just luck again, and also that we were able to stay really level-headed throughout the whole thing, and we were using GitHub in a way that we all were comfortable with, and so that really helped. But I remember at one point, it was towards the end of the day, and we were like rushing to get it done and like have it look nice and also have the pictures display correctly. And Hector was trying to figure out how to use paperclip, which is a gem for pictures. And we were trying to get the images to display like all the same size or something like that, and like we just couldn't get it to work, and we're kind of like, we're all standing up and like freaking out that the pictures don't look right. But like not too much, but just a little bit. But Hector was able to figure it out. He just like put his mind to it, and it worked. And I think that it helps in those situations to like, first of all, focus on what you're doing, but also like it's okay to freak out a little bit,
right?
And then like get back to what you need to do. Because if you can't freak out, then it might just like build up, and you like can't handle it.
We did a lot of time management too, so we were just said like, you know, in 1 hour we're going to, you know, get to a point that you can share with the rest of us, and we can go off of that. So we had many time frames within the 8 hours where, you know, at 3:30 we're going to merge, and it's going to be a complete project, and then we're going to tweak. We'll go through the tests and tweak everything, and then because there's obviously going to be issues at that point, but starting from the very beginning, we just did the time management thing and just, you know, gave ourselves little mini deadlines.
I love that. That's really smart, especially having such a crunch for time, doing small deadlines and goals. Do y'all learn like agile methodology or any sort of like approaches to teamwork and like collaboration at DevPoint as part of the curriculum?
Not specifically agile. There's actually going to be talk night tonight though, so where someone's going to come in and we're going to have a speaker on agile. So those opportunities are always open. I dealt with agile a little bit when I worked for the Solid Council, so that was cool. But mainly just like here, you know, what we learn like right now in school is just, you know, peer programming, like how to, you know, communicate with each other. And we've actually been starting to designate like a team leader for, you know, other problems. Which
sorry to interrupt. Pseudocode, the pseudocode, you know, putting it on in English on, you know, either typing it out or on paper is just
interesting.
Super important also.
Yeah, and also one other idea about like programming and getting stuff out there and getting it to work, and especially in a group, is make it work first and then deal with like refactoring or making it pretty or making it better. And that has really helped me. Like, yeah, if it can just work first, I can actually get something out there that I can look at and use, and then I can make it better.
Yeah. Shipping a product is important. I mean, if you never get it live, then you can't really improve on it. So, so Megan, you mentioned a little bit about this, about one of the Ruby gems being taught to y'all that wasn't taught to like this in the same way to a previous cohort. Are there other sort of like, are there things that you have suggested should be changed about like the curriculum or the way that things are taught at DevPoint? Like, are there things that you didn't expect or that you haven't like appreciated, and what has been the feedback loop, if you do have things that you think should be changed?
I don't really know. I just know, like, especially with that, like, every new cohort, it's a new experience. So I don't know exactly what number of cohort we are, but I know that our curriculum has definitely changed and expanded a lot since the very first one. And I think it just comes with the territory. I was really surprised and thankful because we'll have TAs that come around. They're like, yeah, we didn't learn authentication the hard way, you know, how to hard code it in. And so we can actually teach them, which helps everyone learn better. So I thought that was really great and a good thing. And I just think they're going to keep expanding on that kind of stuff. I know that we're, I think, like a week ahead in our current cohort. So, and they've just left it open to the class, like, hey, if there's something you guys want to learn, like coffee script or a certain gem, like they're going to be more than happy to go over it. So just time, yeah. So that's been really great. Really, no complaints that I can think of.
Yeah, like not too many other than like we need more help, which is normal, I think. They did put out a survey to us last week, right at the middle of the cohort. That was, basically just to get our feedback. What do you think of the course? What would you suggest? What are your complaints? What do you like? And so they do listen to the students, and they do try and implement the suggestions that we have. And we actually just talked about the survey yesterday as a whole group, and it was really helpful.
Yeah, that's really
awesome.
Great.
It's good to hear that there are like feedback loops that are incorporated into like the actual curriculum. That's wonderful. Well, I know you're 5 weeks through, you're not done, so I don't know if you can say this for sure, but I guess my last question is was DevPoint Labs like worth the money? Would you recommend it to a friend in your position? What do you think?
I definitely would. It is a lot of money when you look at just the number, but when you look at what you're getting in return, it's definitely worth it, I think. And, I mean, DevPoint Labs itself is cheaper than a lot of other boot camps that I know of. But yeah, I mean, you're learning a skill set that if you were to learn it on your own would take much longer, and you might not even be able to do it. I know I wouldn't be able to do this on my own. You're really paying for, the people to help you, the resources they give you, just like everything that they provide. I don't know how I would accomplish the same things on my own.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it also. I like the price point that it's, it is going to take an investment, not only money, but time. It's like, it's full time. You definitely have homework. If you don't understand something, you have to look it up. They say you have to bang your head and just push through that last little bit. But so the price point makes it so that you're even more so invested, and you want to learn that much more. So I think it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed. So I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, I agree with all what you said, and I think, just the time frame, like for what you're paying, you get so much. Like, you may even get really even more than what you're actually paying for, but you just got to be ready for it, You just got to get in that mindset and go, because if you're not ready to keep up, then it's just, you can fizzle out easy. So, got to have your head in the game.
That is good advice. Well, y'all, thank you so much. I can't wait to check in a few weeks or a couple of months and see what you're up to and the awesome new jobs that you have that I'm sure you'll love. So I want to thank Hector and Megan and Rosie. Thank you so much for joining us today, dishing about your experience at DevPoint. I'm going to add the DevPoint Labs info below in the description on our YouTube page, and also some info about how to get in touch with their team. And I also just wanted to remind everyone to remember that we actually have an exclusive $500 scholarship that's available for DevPoint Labs from the Course Report for the Course Report community. So just go to the DevPoint Labs school page on Course Report and you can claim that, and I'll put information about that in the description as well. So I hope you enjoyed this. Comment, let us know what you'd like to see our next live Q&A about, and we will see you at the next one. Thanks for joining.
Thanks,
bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye, Liz.